We are heading to the burn. The horrible weather continues. -1, lots of snow on top of the muddy track that we already had. It is... I could think of worse weather. Freezing rain I can't stand. I got a race at Flamborough tonight. For sure it's going to be muddy. Can't stand that. But I really hate like 0, +1 and freezing rain. That's the worst in the universe. For me. I've never experienced any extreme weather. But I can tell you the freezing rain, it'll keep me at home, that's for sure. Yeah, so the weather's been... What's that, buddy?
You're going to race now.
Yeah, I got a race tonight.
Or else you're not going to make any money.
That's right. And then you won't be playing on that Nintendo now, will you?
No.
So we got a few little things to take care of today on Sunday. Usually go by the barn, make sure all the horses are healthy, make sure that they've eaten. Amy's already gone in to take care. Amy takes care of 3 horses. Not many people know this, I guess. Amy takes care of 3 horses at the barn. She takes care of...
I named all the horses.
I saw that. Yeah, good girl. Amy takes care of White Tiger for Harry because Amy loves White Tiger. And then Amy also has 2 babies. She has one My Heart Hanover and Frilly Fringes that she likes and has decided those are her horses. So she takes care of those also. She went in early today to make sure they're all right. Neither of them, the only one that got to train of the 3 of them was White Tiger yesterday, just slow because the track was bad. My only concern going into Monday night's races is Arvika was a little dull and short. I thought she'd done enough, only being off 2 weeks, to be fine, and then she went out last night, felt a little flat, a little dull. The track was soft, but she felt like she was trotting pretty good. She just fizzled out. Now maybe I could have, doubled her up, let Mike Saftik go when he came, been over the half in a minute. Who knows? Maybe it's a different race. I felt that we had control, very easy control of the race from, the start pole, definitely the 16th pole, all the way to the 5/8 when Mike Saftik finally rolled up alongside me. I thought we had enough of a breather. Maybe I was wrong. It could have been a combination of maybe the conditions, and they weren't muddy. I had a spring and fall suit on and didn't get muddy. Maybe it was the conditions just being a softer track with winter corks on, being off 2 weeks. It could have been a number of things that caused her to be a little lackluster. But nevertheless, she finished 6th. Shot a mile in 2 minutes, I think, and was weak on the end of it. But the good thing about Arvika is, if she's able, which it appears she is, she usually always bounces back pretty good. So I'm expecting her to bounce back next week. West 52nd race good. He tried the last quarter in 29.3, a mile in 59. James said to me as I arrived, I wasn't there for West 52nd's race. I watched it at home. I only live, for those of you who visited, I only live 15 minutes from the barn, 15 minutes from Mohawk. When I showed up at Mohawk, James said, geez, you're going to need a tire. He flattened the tire. Apparently Doug stepped on his wheel and flattened his wheel. Now, I didn't ask him where it happened. I assumed getting into the last turn when everybody started to move, but I can't be certain of that. Nevertheless, he finished up with a flat tire. Still trotted 29.3 on the end of it, so good for him. Again, though, could have been a little tighter. These are horses racing at their top level right now. The class West 52nd is lots for him. The class Arvik is in is lots for him. You see the difference when you look at Caviar's Triumph, went over and won at Flamborough. Now, Scott Coulter drove him great, got away in the 2-hole, pounced on the leader, and coasted up for a win. Really did it perfectly in the sense that it's tough to reach in and claim that horse right now. There's nowhere else for him. He can't really do, I don't think, in the preferred 3 or preferred 2. Trot, that's the top claiming level on the B tracks, that 12 to 15. There isn't a 20. And we've handicapped him with the outside in this event where we put him in for 15. Before we were putting him in for 12.5 and his allowances pushed him up over 15. Now we're putting him in for 15 with no allowances and he still won. So really the perfect scenario for Caviar's Triumph. But as I was saying with the horses, he's not at his top level. He's at the top level at the B tracks, but he's having some fun. And you saw the difference. When they're not at 100% and they have to be, they don't look as good. right? And it's just tough with the holidays and the track and the weather and everything. It's tough to have them that way. So back in 7 days will help for sure, and I expect better things from both Arvika and good things again from West 52nd. It wasn't like West 52nd was bad. He just seemed a little step behind, and the flat tire could definitely have done that also. So I was happy with West 52nd, Caviar's Triumph. A little disappointed with Arvika. Truth be known, maybe a little disappointed with myself. Looking back at the race, you know, James and I always throw barbs at each other after the race. And he said to me, geez, you could have been over the half a little slower. I said, yeah, I could have. Then I would have to, but truthfully speaking, I would have to build a time machine, go back, and change the way I looked at the race. The horse I was sitting behind at the 3/8 at the half felt like she was going to be tough to beat. You know, it didn't feel to me that she was taxed in any way over to the half, and the mile still went in 57 and 4, 31 on the end of it with a little headwind, but she was definitely tired. So, you know, fair ball, maybe I did get her over the half too fast. Nevertheless, I'm sure Arvika will bounce back, hopefully on a firmer track next week, quite a bit better. We are racing tonight. We've totally tacked her, who I'm going to drive him a little bit differently than Paul did last week, maybe. It's tough as a driver. You know, I told him to drive me easy, but he thought that an opportunity presented itself on the racetrack, and he drove the horse accordingly. And, you know, as a guy who's driven horses aggressively his entire life, it's pretty hard for me to get angry or upset. I joke about it, but he does need to be driven a little bit easier. He's just that type of horse. If Paul had driven him 2 or 3 times, he'd know that, but he never got that opportunity. So we'll turn the page on last week, and I'll drive the horse tonight. Yeah, honey.
Mia's my favorite horse.
Mia, which one's Mia?
What's it called? Saurus.
Oh, Saurus Blue Chip. Yeah, he got gelded the other day.
I know.
Yeah.
So did Canton on my spirit.
So did Canton on my spirit. That's right, Oliver.
I call Canton on my spirit Taffy.
Taffy, wow.
They would name them all girl names.
Oh, I see.
She thinks they're all girls. Okay, then
Oh.
who's Tyler's? Tyler? Yeah, Tyler. That one is an empty stall. No one used that
Oh,
one.
really?
Yeah.
Can we not? Do you think it's
Tornado
worth?
girl name?
Do you think it's worth fighting over?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Is Tornado girl
Okay,
name?
we're getting back to the top. We're getting back to our list here. Come on. Care about tornadoes and taffies? For the love of God.
Bye-bye.
You guys be good back there.
Bleh.
So, Tactors Racing tonight I'm driving. So is Fiver on Homer. Homer was decent last week. Third beat maybe, a neck. That's a good class for him. I don't think he's found his best stride yet, and he's doing okay. Hold on. No, I'm not going to go to Tim Hortons. Sweetheart, I got a banana.
Donuts at the barn.
There's nobody at the barn to eat them. Maintenance
I
man.
will eat them.
There's a shocker. Maintenance man. Oh, Mummy's calling. We're going to have to ignore her. Maintenance man. Stop it, Oliver. Maintenance man is also racing tonight. He's coming off a break. He looked good on the track all week. You know, I think this horse will be all right tonight. Again, it's not going to freeze, so the track's not going to be hard. It should be a favorable track for Maintenance Man tonight. And then, of course, tomorrow we have Forged and Fire re-qualifying. Easton Ivy has to re-qualify. And Brushcut is qualifying. Guys, come on. And Brushcut is qualifying. So that's what's going on Monday. Obviously, I believe we got Oso Pine. We got Cattle Hanover. I know I'm missing one. Can't think of it. But we have our bigger horses are coming out this week. Now, Cavill Hanover's coming off a lackluster trip. Then when I trained him this week, he was so-so. We got his feet checked, and his feet were quite a bit sore, so we had to actually change his shoes up a little bit up front, and hopefully that helps. Yesterday, you guys saw a bit of an abomination of a training day. I looked at the forecast and I said, geez, I don't know when we can drone. It's just the weather's just for 14 days on the weather app. It looked terrible. So I said, you know what? If we screen the track flat and it freezes a little bit overnight, I think we'll be all right. I didn't see the snow coming, and it wasn't on the app, but it snowed just enough to soak the track. And then when the gentleman tried to screen the snow off the track, which I would have been torn on that. It's hard for me to say because I saw what it looked like after. He screened the track and it was just soaking wet, and it fell apart immediately. We went with the first set and we were like, there is no way we're getting 10 in. So we did the best we could. Now, it was a little over the top, but days like that, I like to watch the horses because they're all going to get tired. You know, we went the first set, we went 1.5 miles. That was way too much for them. You could see they were all tired. Finishing up Broadway Roll was very strong. That's the first time I'd gone with her. She's a small filly and skipped over the track real good. Better's Hope, you could see his hobbles looked a little long to me. He made a little break when James went to put him in gear in the deeper stuff in the far turn. Desperado had made a little break. Sunshine of May was good. She finished up real strong. The smaller horses were kind of skipping around it pretty easier, a little easier than the other horses yesterday. Momo, who's kind of a big filly, she sat in the 2-hole, and she didn't want no more down the lane. Gray is the new red. Came and picked her off for a second. I watched this in the video, obviously. That was a different set. And then Rito Sunshine again. He's coming off the virus. He's not super healthy right now, that horse. And we're just trying to get, Sunshine in May was the same way. We put them on, I'd mentioned something new called XSTEM, which is a little bit supposed to be an immune booster. And it actually, I believe it helped. Sunshine in May. We've had Rito Sunshine on it now, and hopefully it will pick him up also. He's been off and on sick for a little while, so we're just kind of protecting. He's sick to the point where we were going to geld him 3 weeks ago and we couldn't, where every few 3-4 days he'd spike a little bit of a temperature. He'd have some snot in his nose. He's looking better now, but again, we're behind a little bit with Rito Sunshine. So those were the horses. The horses I saw in the video I thought looked great were Sunshine in May. Better's Hope finished up all right after making a little skip. Gray as a New Red kept storming down the lane. I've been watching people selling their shares, and I don't understand why. Gray as a New Red, this is a Racing Hill filly with tons of upside, lots of breeding, doesn't wear a boot or a pole, and can absolutely fly. I just don't get it. Maybe you guys are waiting for me to talk about these horses like I'm in love with them, and I'm watching them the same as you are. I want to see what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong. I haven't gone with Gray as a New Red for quite a long time, maybe since the first few weeks that she was in the barn, or the first few days she was in the barn. Broadway Roll was the first time I went with her the other day. I saw some changes we're going to make in her. She's over on the left shaft still a little bit. Momo looked fine, little rickety in that deep track. For the same reason she was a little rough when it was icy the last time she went. That razor pad in her right front just makes it a little slippery. So the first set, I would say the standouts were Broadway Roll looked great. Gray as a New Red looked great. Momo looked good. So did Sunshine in May. Better's Delight. And the other horses just struggled a bit. Matt Desperado made a break, and so did Rito Sunshine. So not really a big deal. I was happy overall. I got to get a look at what they were going to do when they got tired, and that's important to me. Now, if the track was just a little taxing, that would have been great for yesterday. I would have got a chance to look at, because that's the only time you really get to see their attitude, right? Is when they're tired. So, and you can't just go and get the babies tired all the time. You're going to burn them out. So every so often, it's nice to see them work hard. And they worked a little more than hard yesterday, some of them. And we got to see some horses that clearly have all the attributes they need to have to be successful. We'll talk about some of them coming up in a minute. We'll talk about set 2 now. Roy Hill was exceptionally good. You saw he was much better from off the pace. When I put him on the front, he was working hard on the front end. He kept waiting for them to come to him, and First Glance came to him. First Glance looked like he's going to be a legit colt. He was out the whole way from the half to the wire. So the last half, he was first over and attacking, and Danny was just sitting there on him. And I was actually getting after Roy Hill just because he's a big lazy bugger sometimes, but when you put him in gear, he can really pace. And you can see he paced away from First Glance, then he was tired a little bit, he let him catch up, he paced away from him again, he let him catch up, and then he was tired in the turn after the mile. It was really deep, and he was a little bit tired at that point. First Glance was every bit as impressive as Roy Hill yesterday. Cut the line, looked a little rickety in the off-going.
Cut the line was the one that kicked my wheelbarrow.
Was she really?
Yeah.
She kicked Ollie's wheelbarrow and destroyed it the other day. Ollie learned this important lesson without learning it the same way everybody else in this industry learns it. Be careful when you're walking by horses. Cut the line got a little spooked and decided that wheelbarrow did not need to exist anymore, and it did not. So cut the line. Yeah, she kicked it and broke.
Destroyed it and smashed it. Wasn't Ollie right there?
Yeah, Ollie's very lucky that she decided she liked Ollie and didn't like his wheelbarrow, and it wasn't the other way around. So cut the line, got a little rickety, made a break yesterday. So admirable. James said she was quiet, but absolutely could not negotiate the mud and ran 2 or 3 times. Felt good when it was a firmer surface, and then when she had to pace through that deeper stuff, he said she just lost herself. So that could be the hobbles being a little long. Could be a lot of things, but it could have been the track quite easily. So we're not gonna get too concerned over that. Well and down, same thing. Looked great to me when she was pacing. Made a couple little skips, but she'll do that. She's getting better, better and better and better as she goes along. I was pretty happy with well and down. Then we went to set 3. I knew these horses were going to work hard. Set the mood. He was on the left line quite a bit. We got to change his equipment. He ended up making a little break in the last turn. We can fix him up. What, honey?
I have only one horse in the barn. It's Mia.
I don't know what a Mia is. Who's Mia?
Mia is Source Blue Chip.
Okay, so Source Blue Chip's a boy. Mia's a girl name.
I know.
But Source Blue Chip's a nice horse.
Okay, you know how Batman's a girl, but we call him a boy?
Yeah, but that was a mistake, and we just let it go on too long. It'd be like I've called you Craig, and we never noticed you were a girl until you were 1.5 years old. You're gonna be Craig the rest of your life, but you weren't. So that's what's up.
You're gonna name me Apple. Like, who names a girl Apple?
I like Apple. Don't you knock me, or I'll have your name legally changed. How you like that?
Hey.
Anyway, set 3, set the mood was good. You get on the left line, can't see how the track is. It's covered in snow. I wonder if they screened it yesterday.
I'm leaving.
No, you're not. You're staying right here. So we had Set the Mood, who made a little break in the last turn. We had the Fat Cobra. Looked good. He come back on after the mile, went by everybody. He was good. Rose Run Wanda. She was out the whole way and then cleared in the last turn and then come to a halt down the lane. I hate when horses do that, but Wanda's attitude has been certainly suspect for a while, but she obviously showed she's got some pop. She was good up until that point. Maybe I shouldn't have just cleared. Maybe I should have just let her. Maybe I should have just let her sit outside for the whole mile. Adrenaline Rush. James near decapitated me. If you watch the video closely, James, because he's an idiot and doesn't always wear glasses, he couldn't see coming down the lane, and he thought there was lots of room to drive between the Fat Cobra and Surreal Love. The only problem was that's where I was, and James near smashed me yesterday. He had to scoop him up. I had to move over sideways, and then Wanda really stopped, and Adrenaline Rush come charging through the end of it. Now, we went a mile in 2:45 on that heavy track with those horses yesterday, so it wasn't a big loss. Adrenaline Rush, he always labors in the third quarter and then comes on down the lane, which is annoying, but he does it with his ears up, which is odd. It's like he's just stupid and doesn't know, and he'll learn to go. And then what about Surreal Love? Picked them all off for his first lifetime training win. Surreal Love came from last to get up and beat everybody at the wire. I was so happy for Steve and for Surreal Love. Really, really happy to see them both do well yesterday. I like this horse. This is a horse nobody really pays much attention to. He wasn't an expensive yearling. He was a bit of a flyer. He doesn't have great breeding. But for him to get up, pace hard down the lane and beat 4 other horses, he clearly has a winner's attitude, which you cannot find. It's either there or it is not. You can't buy it. You can't make it. It's either there or it is not, as I said, and Surreal Love showed it yesterday. So very, very impressed with him. Then we went to what I would call probably close to the open trot. We had the 4th race, and you can see why I put War We Welcome and Eternity Road at 1-2. They just looked like the mud didn't faze them, right? Poor Barbie's Crown, I told you guys, she doesn't look like a big strapping athlete. It's muddy, it's deep. She works as hard as she can. Yes?
They're a little sharp, but I need your help to turn them.
Okay, honey. I will be in. I'll be in a minute. So yeah, Barbie's Crown, she's a little more frail, right? And she got flip-flops on. She had the worst shoeing for yesterday. She had the worst track for her yesterday. And you could tell she was trying her hardest to do everything she could, but she was exhausted by the time we got into the last turn. I could feel her getting a little pacey, a little out of gear. She trotted as best she could through the turn. She trotted down the lane, then she made a break over in the turn, but did the best she could. And that's all you can ask. This is a nice filly, as I said. She came in a little bit down below these other 2 horses. You could see that War We Welcome just appeared to be toying with everybody. And then Eternity Road who James just covered up the whole way, was flying down on the inside. And James said he didn't think he got there, but I think he beat him by a good half a length. It doesn't really matter. Eternity Road and War We Welcome looked great. Walk on the Moon looked very, very good. Very good considering he also had flip-flops on. So this is a stronger cold, obviously a little stronger than Barbie's Crown. Barbie's got that big, giant gait for a little horse also. It just was too much for her yesterday, and it showed, but I suspect she'll bounce back quite easily when she gets on a firmer track. And then, as I said, Walk on the Moon looked tremendous, and That's My Girl, who was, this filly shouldn't be in with this crew, but I said, you know, Danny can go with her. Danny will get along well with her. He knows her well. And you know what? For me, you guys don't know this, but when we make the sets, I'm also trying to match up the drivers, right? We only have so many trainers, and some don't get along with other horses or won't get along with other horses. And I can only go with one in each set, and so can James, Mario, Danny. So I thought That's My Girl would be better in that class. Danny was very happy with her. Pretty hard not to be happy with her. She's just a nice filly. She reminds me of War We Welcome, right? Watch them closely. They both have similar gaits. War We Welcome is a stronger filly already. Tiny bit bigger frame, and it shows on the track. But I think War We Welcome will catch up. And that will be a great thing, as I believe... That's My Girl, sorry. I believe That's My Girl will end up being a horse that we keep an eye on. It's just going to take a little bit longer, as it should. She was broke much longer after, much further after. War We Welcome's got at least a 3-week head start on That's My Girl. So I'm not concerned in that regard. I was happy with everybody. I felt a little bit sad for Barbie's Crown, but as I say all the time to everybody, we all face adversity, right? And we're all going to get beat. And I think it won't hurt Barbie's Crown at all, what took place yesterday. I think she'll come back with a little bit of a vengeance next week. And hopefully we can get a firm track. I'm hoping Wednesday, maybe. I would love to get you guys one drone set where the track's good and the horses are good right now, to see what I saw the last time we really cut them loose here, just after Christmas time. Just before Christmas time. And maybe Wednesday, you're not going to be able to hold me to it. If they can get this track fixed up from what we did to it yesterday in the dirty mud, it freezes a couple of times, they can get it under control, and then it looks like it's just going to be cold enough on Wednesday. If all those things happen, I had asked Curtis to stay on high alert that we might have another drone day for you on Wednesday. Obviously, I don't want to make any promises I can't keep, but at the same time, I do want to get you guys a drone video of all the horses. You know, it's going to be January, almost mid-January, and we still haven't got another drone. So a useful one for all the horses. So hopefully we can get that done for you on Wednesday. Fifth set was Perfect Record. You guys got to look. Watch the entire mile. Mario thought the Perfect Record kicked at him. I thought he knuckled over here in the deep mud. Regardless, he made a little break. And if you watch closely, watch the end of the mile. He is flying on the end of the mile. Probably the least tired horse all day. Eternity Road and Perfect Record was flying on the end of it. Looked absolutely tremendous. Mario really likes this colt. I've put him on him a couple of times. They get along. He likes him, and the colt obviously likes Mario, unless he tried to kick at him, in which case he doesn't. But they get along well, so we'll probably keep them hooked up for a while. Girls with Swirls look good. Danny said she got a little bit tired, but I saw her move a couple of times. She just looks great, this filly. Going to be a really nice horse. I hope if she has the overall ability, I think it'll shine, because she certainly enjoys her work on the track. A horse that really showed up yesterday, maybe you guys didn't see it coming, maybe you did. Can't Muscle Me. I've told you again and again and again about how much I think about this filly. It's hard to make a decisive decision off yesterday's track, but when you see everybody getting out of gear or making breaks in places, and this filly looks so good.
Is Chris Glantz a boy?
Yes.
Okay.
Can't Muscle Me looked tremendous in my mind yesterday. Now, in fairness, old Stevie come and got us again. He looked a little bit like Larry Walker coming on the end of the mile, and Steve picked us off. And I was happy to see him pick us up. I was excited with the way Can't Muscle Me trained. That was the first time you've ever seen her on the front. She'd go, and then a horse would come to her. She'd go again and go again in the deep mud. You could tell she was tired. but holy chick on the far outside, a little drier out there. She came and picked off everybody. This is a filly that's kind of been obscure, right? It just fell into obscurity all season long. We talk about her, but you don't really see her that much. Saw her yesterday. She looked tired in the last turn, but you could see coming out of the turn, she could tell she could get there. She understands her work. She understood what she was there to do and got up and beat us all in the final strides. Can't Muscle Me held on for second. I believe Off-Road Hanover was there. He's a nice colt too. Got a little out of gear when John tried to move him here in the turn. Perfect Record was good. Sweet Ambitions and Tanzanite Tricks both were tired finishing up. James said Sweet Ambitions was a little rocky, trying to find her footing the first 3/8, and then once she found it, she was okay. Tanzanite Tricks was good. We had the hobbles on her. That's the other thing, is I was going to put the hobbles on Can't Muscle Me. It's not a good day to put them on, and she was going out the door when I saw the hobbles on her, and I'm like, that's not going to work. She can go without hobbles. We're just trying to get some confidence in her, and Tanzanite Tricks, the hobbles really worked against her yesterday. So those were the 5 sets that we got in. Everybody else jogged. What are you going to do? There's not much you can do when the tracks are like this. I would assume it's January. There will be cold coming, and we'll be able to get them on a more regulated training regimen. But for now, we get 5 sets in yesterday, and hopefully we might be able to sneak 10 sets. We'll leave all the sets the same for Wednesday. We might put the last 5 sets first on Wednesday, just in case the track starts to fall apart again a bit, because these guys have already, they already trained hard. So I think we'll switch them up. We'll put the top 5 as the first 5, and then so on and so forth. So the first 5 will be the last 5 for Wednesday. So that's it. We're off to an okay start. None of our real good horses, our better horses, have raced yet. West 52nd was okay last night. Flat tire, finished 5th. Tried the last quarter in 29-3 with a flat tire. Can't really fault him for that. Arvika, whether she was dull, flat, or I simply overdrove her, she was a little bit flat, but I suspect she'll bounce back on a 7-day rotation next week. And then, of course, Caviar's Triumph, our first win of 2020. He raced fantastic, looked great. As he always turned into a nice grinder. It turned into a nice claimer and a nice grinder for us. Eventually, we all know that somebody will reach in and claim him, but should be a little fun before that happens. So, that's the opening. I thought it would be short. It's almost 27 and a half minutes now. We talked about all the sets. We talked about the way the horses raced. Obviously, I'll continue to talk about licensing moving forward. Please feel free to reach out to us if you have any licensing woes. We want to make sure that we get everybody licensed. So if you're planning on being a part of multiple jurisdictions this year, just get into the NRC, the National Racing Compact. I think it's worth it. It's a good use of your money. It saves you a lot of stress and us a lot of stress throughout the season. So as always, we try to cover all our bases. We got our sets in. We got all our babies talked about. We got all the horses that race talked about. Other than that, it's a pretty soft week, right? First week of 2020. It's come in with a whimper and left with a whimper. We did have a win. We did have some horses that raced okay. And I guess it's not over yet. We still have Monday. So, that's it. That's the opening. I'll be back to you guys. We'll talk about all the stables. We'll talk about all the 2-year-olds, all the yearlings, where everybody's at, where they're close. We have a lot of horses close to racing also. Kevin has 2 or 3. He said we'll be ready to go February 1st. We'll talk with them soon. Take care. See you in a bit.